A long, grueling summer on the track was finally brought to a close with the Gold Coast Suns waiting in round one. With a host of new faces on board, the Saints kicked off their season in front of their home fans at the newly named Marvel Stadium. The Suns jumped out of the blocks, but when Matty Parker nailed the first of his career, the Saints were back in town.
And launches it beautifully, and what a celebration from Matthew Parker.
Jack Sinclair kept the momentum building, but it was Parker who had the Saints fans on their feet. Another new face was busy making an impression, and when the Saints needed a hero, it was Dean Kent who again stepped up to the mark.
Looks good off the boot, looks fantastic from the moment leather met leather.
Despite some nervy moments, the Saints hung on to claim their first win of the season.
There it is, stuff of dreams in the end.
The Saints returned to Marvel Stadium in round two, with the Bombers standing in the way of consecutive wins. After ramping up the pressure early, it was Josh Bruce who got the stadium rocking.
Found Bruce, kicks around the body, and we've got one.
The key forward added another highlight in the second, with one of the marks of the season.
Bruce hit the roof.
Matty Parker added another, before Jack Loney's desperation set up Dean Kent.
That's a magnificent tackle by little Loney.
The Bombers came hard in the third, but the Saints stood their ground.
Got it all the way to Merritt. Bang! McGrath ran into a brick wall and he's down.
After a tense final term, Jack Sinclair took control in the air, before Bruce and Jade Gresham combined to sink the Bombers.
Big ball to win, got it up, outside of the boot, a roller, that could be home.
Chasing a crucial interstate win, the Saints started with a bang against Freo in the West.
Akers is going to streak away and kick the first of the match.
It was the Dockers, though, who gained control before the Saints hit back. Josh Bruce marked in gold, and then Jade Gresham and Tim Membry made it three in a row.
It's going long, and Membry right on the goal
Some
line.
clean hands set up Jack Loney as the Saints kept in touch in the third.
There's Loney, and there's the goal the Saints wanted.
But despite coming with a rush in the dying minutes, it was the Dockers who held on for a 5-point win. The Hawks burst out of the blocks in round four, but the Saints refused to back down. Acting skipper Seb Ross was back to his best.
Ross, long, accurate, it's perfect.
But it was the Hawks who wrestled control early in the third. The Saints turned up the heat, and when Josh Bruce goaled, the comeback was on. Rowan Marshall offered a taste of what was to come this season with an important goal in the last.
He straightened things up, and Saints fans cheer.
Fourth gamer Callum Wilkie was inspirational at the other end, but it was Jack Loney who nailed his third to snatch a 5-point win.
He grabs the moment by the neck and gives it a shake.
The Saints headed to the MCG in round 5 and were quick to pile the pressure on the Ds. Dean Kent was on song against his old side, while Tim Membry was flying high.
Membry with three against him, and he beat the lot of them.
Jack Loney was in the thick of it, and when Jack Billings hit the mark, the Saints were in control.
Still Billings, out of nothing.
Jaron Geary put his body on the line, before Ben Long stamped himself on the contest.
Struts inside 50, loads up, lands one to the jaw.
Dean Kent kept the ball rolling, and when Matty Parker goaled at the start of the last, the 4 points were in the bag.
Options are plenty, they've got all the superheroes.
Membry finished with 4, while Jack Billings put the icing on the cake as his stellar season continued.
To put the ultimate icing on the St Kilda cake, he comes in from 45 metres out and puts it right through the middle.
The Saints again started strongly in round 6, with Jack Stephen in everything early.
Got enough on this, it'll bounce through.
The Saints were flying before tragedy struck on the stroke of quarter time, as Jack Loney went down with a knee injury.
Oh, the hyperextension of that right knee.
Matty Parker added another to his highlights reel, but he wasn't done yet.
There's Big Lee Parker, wow.
Nathan Brown was impressive in defence, but it was Ben Patton who kept the Saints in touch.
Here's his moment, goes for home and nails it.
Despite Shane Savage and Josh Battle standing tall, it was the Crows who powered home in the last. One of the Saints' youngest teams of the past 5 years travelled to Canberra in round 7 with a giant task ahead. Jonathan Marsh made an emotional return to AFL football and didn't disappoint with his first kick for his new side.
Opportunity knocks for Jono Marsh, who has his first goal ever in the AFL.
The Saints lifted their intensity around the ball, and when Blake Acres hit the scoreboard, the margin was back under 3 goals.
Drops it on the boot, the St Kilda fans love it.
Josh Bruce climbed high, and Dean Kent bagged his second, but it was the Giants who dealt the killer blow to see off the Saints. The Saints returned to Marvel Stadium in round 8 for a date with the reigning premiers. Jack Billings continued his fine form, while Jack Sinclair was all
Did it
class.
really well. Brilliant individual
individual effort and found Gresham.
Josh Bruce was marking everything, but it was Shane Savage that lit up Marvel Stadium.
Savage has got to come in. What does he do?
Oh,
The running banana! What about that?
The Saints fans were in full voice, but despite Bruce's heroics, an upset win went begging. Another tough opponent was waiting in round 9, but the Saints were up for the fight. Tim Membry was in fine form, but it was big man Rowan Marshall who caught the eye.
He's kicked the cover off it. That's out of here.
Robbie Young was desperate to make an impression in his first game, while Shane Savage landed a bomb to keep the Saints in touch.
Got a lot on it. It's going, gone.
Despite another beauty from Billings and 4 goals to Membry, it was the Magpies who prevailed at the G. Sir Doug Nicholls' round saw St Kilda field 4 Indigenous Saints for the first time ever. In what was a significant round for the Long family, the Saints were desperate to return to the winners list. Jack Nunes helped settle early nerves.
Opens up and Nunes kicks a goal.
Jade Gresham dominated, and when Josh Bruce goaled on the halftime siren, the Saints had the edge.
After the siren to give the Saints the lead.
Membry kept our noses in front, while Matty Parker found his range. The Blues kept coming, but Parker was again on hand to see the Saints home by 13 points.
Hits it long. Saints fans cheer. Flags go up. Embraces.